2 years ago, my world turned upside down when I discovered my fiancée was unfaithful, and she had the audacity to claim I'd never find anyone like her. Fast forward a year, and I'm now in a relationship with a model who's had feelings for me since high school. Recently, while browsing Reddit, I stumbled across a post about a guy whose girlfriend openly cheated without remorse, as if it was no big deal. It was shocking, and it brought back memories of my ex. I've kept this story private because it's lengthy and, frankly, painful to revisit. But that Reddit post inspired me to share it. This happened about 2 years ago when I met my ex, whom I'll call Sarah, on a dating app. It wasn't one of those casual hookup apps, but a platform for people seeking serious relationships. I was 33, she was 30, and we hit it off instantly. There was an undeniable spark. Our humor aligned, our interests overlapped, and we could talk for hours without losing interest. It felt effortless. After weeks of texting and calls, I asked her out. I was nervous, not gonna lie, because Sarah was stunning, drop-dead gorgeous. I'm not bad-looking myself, but she was in a league of her own. I initially thought I'd keep things light to avoid getting hurt, assuming someone like her had endless options. Dating someone that attractive comes with its own pressures, strange as that sounds. She said yes to the date, and it was amazing, confirming everything I felt during our chats. We started seeing each other regularly, and soon, we were officially a couple. One thing that nagged at me was the attention she got from other guys. She'd casually mention it, guys hitting on her in front of me or sliding into her DMs. At first, I brushed it off. I trusted her and believed she was genuinely into me. Naive, maybe, but I was caught up in the moment and didn't want to come off as jealous or insecure. Things were great except for one moment that stuck with me. During a late-night conversation, the topic of hall passes came up. You know, that playful hypothetical where you pick a celebrity you'd be allowed to sleep with, no consequences. It's supposed to be lighthearted, but it can reveal deeper truths. Sarah brought it up, which felt odd since I'm usually the one starting goofy discussions. She picked Ryan Gosling, which was fine. He's a good-looking guy. But then she said something that hit me hard. I don't think many celebrities would turn me down, with a smug little smile like she meant it. I knew she was gorgeous, but that comment felt cocky, out of character for someone who always seemed so down to earth. It rubbed me the wrong way, but I laughed it off and changed the subject. Still, it lingered in my mind. Over the next few days, I couldn't shake it. The unease faded and things went back to normal, but that moment stayed with me. Then I noticed a change in Sarah's behavior. It was subtle at first, but became more obvious. She started coming home later than usual. 6 p.m. turned into 7, 7:30, sometimes even later. Her excuses were flimsy. I lost track of time, or I bumped into a friend. She used to share detailed stories about her day, work projects, conversations. But now, it was vague, half-hearted explanations. She also got snappy when I asked about it, accusing me of being controlling or distrustful. I'm not confrontational, so I backed off. But the late nights and weak excuses kept piling up, and a gut feeling told me something was wrong. I finally asked her if everything was okay, saying she seemed off. She brushed it off, blaming work stress. I wanted to believe her, but the pattern continued. I brought it up again, and this time she apologized, saying she was overwhelmed and it wasn't about me. Things seemed to improve. She was more open, shared stories about her day, but they felt rehearsed, lacking sincerity. One night, she came home late, claiming she'd had drinks with an old colleague. I knew she was lying. It was like a switch flipped in my head. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I was convinced she was cheating. The suspicion wasn't just a hunch. It felt like a full-blown affair. I couldn't pretend everything was fine. I needed answers. Her behavior was a far cry from the woman I'd fallen for, and I was determined to uncover the truth. The plan. Convinced Sarah was cheating, my first instinct was to check her phone. That's where the evidence would be. Texts, emails, social media. But she was always glued to it, and even if I got a chance, I wouldn't know what to look for. Plus, I didn't just want a suspicious message. I wanted undeniable proof to catch her in the act. So, I decided to hire a private investigator. It felt dramatic, like something out of a movie. But I was desperate for the truth. I found a well-reviewed PI online and set up a meeting. Walking into his office, I felt like I was admitting defeat. I laid out everything, the hall pass comment, the late nights, the vague excuses. The investigator listened calmly, no judgment, and said he'd seen cases like mine countless times. He suggested 2 weeks of surveillance, but settled on 10 days due to cost. I gave him Sarah's details, phone number, email, workplace, and he told me not to contact him until the 10 days were up unless it was urgent. I agreed, knowing it would be torture. The longest 10 days. Those 10 days were excruciating. Knowing someone was tailing my fiancée, possibly confirming my worst fears, was unbearable. I couldn't focus at work, barely slept, and hardly ate. Sarah kept coming home late, 3 times past 9 p.m., with the same tired excuses. I met up with friends or traffic was bad. Each time it fueled my suspicions, giving the PI more chances to catch her. I felt powerless, just waiting. The truth revealed. On day 10, the investigator called, saying he had information and wanted to meet in person. I needed to hear it face to face, to see his expression, to know it was real. My hands shook as I drove to his office, my stomach in knots. He had a manila envelope on his desk and asked if I wanted him to explain or see the evidence first. I chose to hear it from him. He took a deep breath and said, "Your suspicions were correct." No sugarcoating. He'd followed Sarah to an apartment building 3 times, where she met the same man, leaving after about 2 hours. He had the guy's name, let's call him Jake, and the apartment number. I was furious, wanting to confront this Jake, but I knew the real issue was Sarah's betrayal. He handed me the envelope, and inside were photos. Sarah and Jake holding hands, hugging, kissing outside her car. Seeing it was a gut punch. I barely held it together. The reality of my shattered future hitting hard. The confrontation. I knew I had to face her. At home, I asked her to sit down, staying calm. I told her I knew about the affair, the PI, the evidence, Jake, everything. She looked shocked at first, then tried to play it cool, but I laid out every detail. She just sat there, silent, not denying it, not apologizing, not explaining. Her silence infuriated me. I told her I was done, that I couldn't keep pretending. Then she did something unbelievable. She laughed. She stood up, almost taunting me, and launched into a speech. "You're breaking up with me, really? So I had a little fun on the side. It was just physical, no big deal. You think you'll find someone like me? You know I'm out of your league. This is what you're throwing away over one mistake?" She acted like I should be grateful to be with her, despite her cheating. It was mind-blowing, not an ounce of remorse, just pure arrogance. She genuinely thought I wouldn't leave. Her words hit me like a freight train, turning my hurt into rage. I told her I despised her and walked out, grabbing nothing, just needing to escape her presence. The aftermath I spent that night in a cheap motel, replaying the confrontation, stunned by her reaction. The next day, I went back to grab some things, hoping she'd be at work. She was there, looking like she'd been crying but trying to act tough. She smirked and said, "I knew you'd come back." I ignored her, packed some essentials, and said I'd return for the rest later. She stood there, stunned, as I left. She muttered something as I walked out, but I didn't care to hear it. I couldn't understand her behavior. Maybe she needed validation outside our relationship. Maybe she saw me as a safe but lesser option. I'll never know, just guesses to make sense of the senseless. Sarah kept texting me, first with mocking messages, thinking I'd crawl back. When I returned with a friend to get the rest of my stuff, she was shocked, realizing I was serious. One of her last texts read, "You'll never find anyone like me." I blocked her after that, done with her toxicity, moving forward. Fast forward a few months to my 15-year high school reunion. I almost skipped it, but friends convinced me, and it was a blast. Reconnecting with old classmates, great vibes. Then I met Lisa, a friend of someone from my high school class, Natalie. Natalie was a tall, gorgeous girl back then, now a successful model. We were friendly in school, but not close. I'd seen her in ads and magazines. She was a big deal. I hadn't spoken to her in years. At the reunion, I chatted with Lisa, who was still close with Natalie. Lisa grinned and said, "Natalie's gonna kill me, but she's always had a crush on you." I laughed it off. Natalie, a model, into me. No way. But Lisa insisted, saying Natalie had asked her to check if I was still cute at the reunion and encouraged me to reach out if I was single. It was a confidence boost after Sarah's betrayal, realizing her out-of-your-league nonsense was just that, nonsense. Taking a leap. I decided to message Natalie on Instagram, letting Lisa know so she'd tell her to check her DMs. I waited 5 days with no reply, assuming Lisa exaggerated or Natalie was too busy. Then she responded enthusiastically, "Oh my God, Mark, it's been forever." We started texting, catching up on high school, careers, families. After a few days, she suggested FaceTime, tired of typing. We video chatted almost daily, and I learned about her life as a model, travel, shoots, the highs and lows. She was in Paris for a campaign, sharing behind-the-scenes photos. It felt like we were building something real, even across the miles. I asked, "What are we?" She laughed, said we were great friends, but wanted more. I asked her to be my girlfriend, and she said yes without hesitation. The long-distance hurdle. Long distance was tough. She was jet-setting. I was at my regular job. I'd hated long-distance relationships before, but Natalie was worth it. I booked a flight to Paris, where she was working for a few weeks. That trip was life-changing. Paris was stunning, but being with Natalie was unreal. She brought me to a shoot, and watching her work, cheering her on, made me feel part of her world. It showed me love was worth the risk after a bad experience. The Instagram slip-up in Paris. I took photos at Natalie's shoot and posted them to my Instagram close friends story, forgetting Sarah was still on that list. I'd blocked her everywhere else but missed Instagram. Hours later, she messaged, "Who's that? Playing fanboy now?" with a laughing emoji. I replied, "That's my girlfriend," and left it at that. She typed and deleted for 10 minutes before sending a snarky, "Sure." I fired back, "If you thought you were out of my league, Natalie's on another planet. How's your guy doing?" She read it but didn't reply. I blocked her, admitting it was petty but satisfying. I didn't want her in my life anymore. Happily ever after? That's my story. Betrayal, heartbreak, and finding love in an unexpected place. I'm happier than ever with Natalie. She's kind, funny, smart, and beautiful inside and out. I'm considering proposing by year's end. Don't tell her. Natalie's a blessing, and I'm grateful things with Sarah fell apart, or I wouldn't have her. Some might say I'm with her because she's a model or that long distance won't last, but I don't care. I'm thrilled, and if it doesn't work out, I'll deal with it. For now, I'm not looking back. Thanks for reading.